We have breaking news coming from Montreal that might turn the tide of the season. But first, roll it! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chtib Zhang show. I'm Chtib. That is
I'm
Eric
saying.
Zhang. Obviously, for those who haven't heard, there's breaking news out of Montreal where the head coach, Claude Julien, associate coach, Kirk Muller, have been fired and relieved of their duties, sacked out of Montreal. Um, Obviously, there's a little deja vu here. 5 years ago, in the same month of February, Michel Therrien was actually fired 10 days apart, February 14th and February 24th. But around the same time it happened. And so Claude Julien and Kirk Muller are out of Montreal. Dominic Ducharme is now the new interim head coach, with Alex Burrows serving as the new assistant coach. Luke Richardson also retains his position. And before we get into that, though, let's talk about something very important, a little refs rant.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, yesterday, Montreal lost to Ottawa in overtime after a botched review
Yeah.
sent the game into overtime when it should have been over on Brendan Gallagher's tally late in the third. Um, Eric, what were you thinking when you saw that?
I don't know what the refs were thinking. I don't know what they saw, but
Yeah,
I was a ref for 2 years, or it doesn't really matter. But
yeah, big.
if the ref gets put, if the goalie gets pushed and then he gets up, he has like the goalie had like 2 seconds to reset. He was perfect, and then Gallagher deflected it, and then
Yeah,
it's such a bad call.
I usually don't like to blame the refs in a game because I find it, ignorant and arrogant
Yeah.
to blame a team's play on the ref. But I will blame the refs in this one because that was a
Mm,
clear miscall.
clear.
I don't know if it was the refs that determined that call or it was the play call in Toronto
Mm-hmm.
that kind of just screwed over the Habs. Like you said, Matt Murray was pushed by Brendan Gallagher.
Mm-hmm.
The play, Matt Murray takes his sweet time getting back up, and then the puck comes, deflects, and it's in.
Yeah.
When he had 3 or 2 seconds to get back up,
Mm-hmm.
I was joking with my dad watching the game. I said, imagine they turn it back. That'd be funny. I don't think it happened though, and yeah, it did happen. So
Wow.
um, it's a tough play for the Montreal Canadiens. I
For
don't,
sure.
you have to ask yourself if Montreal wins that game. Does Claude
Yeah.
Julien get fired?
He
Does Kirk Muller?
he probably still.
He'd be probably riding on thin ice, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
It's a close
But
one.
yeah, terrible call by the refs. One of the worst calls I've ever seen watching a
Yeah.
hockey game.
But Gallagher was in the crease initially,
We
but
got pushed in from Zaitsev,
exactly. But and then he got
and
shoved
then he gets
again.
shoved, like
Yeah.
tackled to the ground, like if it's
Yeah.
an NFL play,
Yeah.
like straight tackle to the ground while he's already on the ground, and then Gallagher gets up, tips it, and Matt Murray's
Yeah.
not ready apparently, even though he has like 2 or 3
No,
seconds
he
to
had so
reset.
much time.
So
He had
much time.
so much time.
That was
There's like at least a good three
I
Mississippi in
mean, I
there.
don't know what's going on with the refs in the NHL this year, but it's been terrible on their parts. A lot of missed calls, a lot
For
of
sure.
bad calls, and I don't know. The NHL's got to really. I want them to release a statement during the week about that call. I want to hear
Mm-hmm.
what they have to say and what they were thinking. I like if they don't, then they're a bunch of cowards basically, and they know they were wrong, but they need to come out and say they were wrong. That's something on their part.
Because that was a big play that costed Montreal basically like
A point. Cost them a
their
point.
coach
Maybe
and
their
their
coach.
and the
I don't know.
momentum. Momentum's very
Yeah,
important.
yeah, yeah. But let's move on to the firing.
Yeah.
Montreal, they won 2 of their last 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they lost to the Leafs, and then they lost 2 in a row to the Senators, which is not acceptable. Um, Bergevin in his press conference today said that they needed a new voice,
Mm-hmm.
and they sort of lost their identity. And he was saying that Claude Julien was trying to give a message, and the players weren't really receiving it the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think eventually, at some point, when your players sort of kind of don't play for the coach, like they knew
Yeah.
that their coaching staff was on thin ice right now because they were losing games, and
Yeah.
they kind of just didn't go out there and play for their coach.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough to see, but it's something that needed to be done. Bergeron said he had 2 8-game losing streaks last year, which we saw, and he didn't want to repeat it, especially with the shortened season.
Yeah.
That's something you don't want to see again. But Yeah, I kind of have to agree with the call here. After
Mhm.
watching that Senators game, I figured to myself we need to fire someone. I was thinking it was Kirk
Mhm.
Muller. I didn't know they were going to fire Julien, but
Mhm.
nevertheless, what is done, and there's no
Exactly.
going back.
But let's start like Claude Julien is a really good coach. Let's start
Yeah.
with that. He's
Oh
he's a
yeah.
good coach, but when you're a coach, it's not like you can do your X and O's, but you actually like you have to take control of the locker room, which is very
Yeah.
important. And then
And
once you lose
yeah.
that, like, and I was watching a press conference with Bergevin, and he was saying that it's the momentum. They started off very strong, and then like it happens all the time to Montreal Canadiens,
Yeah.
and they just want Mark Bergevin just wants consistency here.
Yeah.
And he just wants his team because this team is a really good team. It's probably a top five, top 10 team in the league. If you just look at the
Mhm.
players and how good it could be. So it was a good decision.
Yeah, you're right. Montreal is really known for starting off well in the
Yeah,
season, and then they kind of just tank
yeah.
the rest of the season. And I didn't think this year that that was something that was happening when they started off hot. I thought this was because of the acquisitions and the
Mm-hmm.
offseason Bergevin had.
Yeah.
But no, then they started losing games. Their power play dipped
Mm-hmm.
extremely when it was top five in the league. Now it's 20th overall at
Mm-hmm.
18.2%. Um, yeah, my thought process, Kirk Muller, I go on Instagram, Eric, a lot when
Mm-hmm.
stuff like this happens, when a coach gets fired, players get traded, because I want to know people's opinions, what people are
Mm-hmm.
thinking.
Yeah.
And so I go on, check the comments. A lot of people start going, why are we firing Kirk Muller? Why are we firing Kirk Muller?
Yeah.
Fire Julien, leave Kirk Muller alone. Well, first of all, Kirk Muller is an associate coach. He's a part of the coaching
Yeah.
staff. There's much to blame on Julien as there is on Kirk Muller, even Ducharme and Luke Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of things that people don't know is that Kirk Muller actually overlooked the power play in Montreal
Yeah.
for his whole tenure there.
Mm-hmm.
He was in charge of the power play. And when Mark Bergevin went to get guys who could put the puck in the back of the net, Josh Anderson, Tyler
Tucker
Toffoli,
Foley.
he brought in a young rookie that can maybe quarterback the power
Mm-hmm.
play. You have Gallagher still, Tatar.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have guys that could put the puck in the back of the net. You have serious threats on both units.
Mm-hmm.
And we just didn't see that. They had trouble getting into the zone. They
Mm-hmm.
had trouble in their neutral zone. And when you spend a minute and a half trying to get in the opposing
Exactly.
zone,
Yeah.
then you can't really build off anything from there.
Yeah, this shouldn't be the 20th best power
No,
play in the league with the
no.
talent on this team, and also the penalty kill too. Kirk
Mm-hmm.
Muller, he took care of the special team and the penalty kill with all the talent. It shouldn't be what 22nd or something like that.
It's
Like
20th
yeah,
right now,
20.
but
Yeah,
still,
yeah, I got it mixed up, but yeah, with all the talent on the defense and the
even the
forwards.
penalty kill, you had something to say about even the penalty kill wasn't strong
Yeah, the
this year.
penalty kill
They're having
wasn't
trouble
strong at
killing
all.
penalties against the Senators power play last
Yeah.
night, and the first game they played before that looked amazing. Man,
Mm-hmm.
they look like they're the best power play in the league.
Yeah.
They're moving the puck all over the Montreal Canadiens. They
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't do anything. They got stuck in their zone.
But Montreal has good defenders, like
Yeah,
offensive defend. So like Jake Evans, like, they've scored
shorthanded
shorthanded
goals.
goals too and everything. But so at that point,
Yeah,
I don't know what's
you
happening.
you start off hot, and then you don't do anything after that. And in a shortened season, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Montreal was second, right behind the Leafs,
Mm-hmm.
neck and neck, and now they're like they're like 9 points off from the Leafs. And it usually tends to be a trend with this team in the Atlantic or now in the North.
But
Um,
but I think he's trying to recreate what happened with St. Louis and I think Pittsburgh a couple years ago when they
yeah,
got new coaches around February,
yeah,
and they went on to win Stanley Cups.
yeah,
But this team, it's a pretty similar team to St. Louis. If you look
yeah.
at the players they have, not
The
that many
depth.
superstars. Yeah, the depth,
That was the
good
biggest thing
goal,
going for St. Louis.
good goaltending too,
Yeah,
good D's. So
yeah. Um, when you talk about goaltending, a lot of people are putting the blame on Price
yeah, but
in
he's not.
last night's game.
Yeah.
I like to think of it this way: Carey Price made a lot of game-saving stops.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been like a 5-3 game early in the third. He made a lot of big stops, but he also let in 3 goals that he probably should have had.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely should have had, right?
Mm-hmm.
That Brady Tkachuk goal, he should have had that. That's a bad goal. That's how I like to look at it. Do I blame Carey Price for the team struggles?
No, you
No.
can't. No.
Okay, because if if you want to look at statistics, Montreal Canadiens were red hot at the beginning of the season. All
Yeah.
their stats have dropped since.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the goaltender. Yeah, Price hasn't been Carey Price from the playoffs that we
Mm-hmm.
saw. He's going to have to turn it around if we want to be successful, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the team also just needed a new identity,
Yeah.
momentum, like Bergevin
Mm-hmm.
said, um, a new way to look at things. And now Dominic Ducharme is going to have to quickly insert himself there, get the power play quickly going.
Yeah.
We don't know who's going to be in charge of the power play, but he's going to have to get things going quickly because this team is trending down right now,
Yeah.
and they're going to have to get things going again. Um,
You can't really blame goaltending either. Like I feel like for some reason they're always on the penalty kill. Like half.
oh,
Like
yeah.
for
Oh, they're the
a lot of
second most
times.
penalized team in the league.
Yeah.
That's going to have to stop.
Yeah. And Jake Allen's a good goaltender,
Yeah.
so can't really blame goaltending this year. But usually goaltending is blamed for when Montreal starts losing. Usually.
Yeah, for crazy Habs fans that just, don't
Yeah.
really look into stuff and just want to blame the goalie.
Yeah, because they're a scapegoat most of the time. It's
Yeah,
the easiest person to
exactly.
blame.
And when you blame your goalie, then you're kind of being ignorant at the
For sure.
time
Yeah.
too. The team's
Especially
not been playing well. They haven't been scoring goals. Suzuki has kind of slowed down. That third line with Kotkaniemi hasn't really been doing much.
Mm-hmm.
Gallagher's line, Tatar's been demoted to the third line. They added to Foley on the first line now. So things aren't really going the way that Claude Julien, Marc Bergevin envisioned for this team. But Claude Julien, I don't think he's going to be unemployed long.
No.
He should be hired.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows where, but he will not be out of the coaching gig for much long. He's a really good coach.
Really good
He's
coach.
top 10 in wins. He'll be somewhere. Hopefully Kirk Muller too. Kirk Muller, I really liked when they brought
he's a
Kirk
good
Muller
coach.
into the coaching staff the first time. He was with the Canadians when they won the Stanley Cup. He was a Canadians captain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough to see a guy like that leave the team. But you have to do what you got to do.
They just need a new face, new energy in the room.
Yeah, and speaking of that new face, Dominic Ducharme. Let's take a look at Dominic Ducharme. All right, many know Dominic Ducharme, of course, from the 2017 Team Canada World Juniors. He had coached that team into silver.
2018,
2018.
they won.
No, I don't think he was. No, 2018
No,
he wasn't the coach.
No, he was. Trust. I did my research.
What they did with him? They win.
Yeah, they won.
Are you sure it's not that? It wasn't the other guy.
Trust. I saw it. Okay, maybe he was in the head coach, but he was on that coaching team.
Maybe.
Trust.
But he was with Halifax 2011 till
On that
2016.
team, on that
2013 he had Nathan McKinnon, Jonathan Drouin. That's when he won CHL Coach of the Year. Like we said, Team Canada head coach. He was also Drummondville's head coach, and then quickly got hired by the Montreal Canadiens in 2018 to be an assistant coach. When I first heard Dominic Ducharme became the assistant coach of the Montreal Canadiens, I always liked to believe that he would be Claude Julien's successor, that he was Bergevin's, secret weapon lurking. And that comes into fruition. Claude Julien gets fired. He becomes the head coach now. And Bergevin has said on record that he isn't interviewing anyone during the season. This is his gig to lose. So something I really like. I really do believe that Dominic Ducharme deserves a head coaching gig here in the NHL. I mean, he's done great in the places that he's coached with Halifax and Drummondville. So it's going to be interesting to see him coach his own NHL team, and I really do believe that he could turn things around. Not really off the start. Don't quote me on that they're going to turn it around right away. But this is a guy that the players will really listen to, and that could change the whole identity of this team. That's something that they've lost, and so it should be interesting to see what he's going to do with this team.
Yeah, I read a quote that Nikolai Ehlers said because he was on that I think Halifax team, one of those Halifax teams, and he was like, oh, he's a great coach, brings the energy.
Yeah.
He'll yell at you. He'll tell you what's wrong. Like, I think that's what Montreal Canadiens need. They just need someone to bring in energy.
Yeah.
Get yelled at if you're not doing something well. Just like give you confidence if you need it. Like just that type of coach.
Yeah, we saw this with Michel Therrien when he got fired. It's kind of the same situation where back then in 2017, Montreal kind of lost their identity and they weren't really playing for their coach. And then when he got fired and Claude Julien came in, it was sort of better for the team. They played better. They lost to the Rangers in the first round and they haven't been able to get past that first round ever since. Obviously, to be fair, during those years, Montreal was kind of sort of in a rebuild year when they traded Max Pacioretty and let go of their veterans. Didn't want to re-sign Markov. Didn't re-sign Plekanec. Um, so to be fair for Claude Julien, but it was really this year that when we got all those acquisitions and made this team so deep, one of the deepest teams in the NHL.
Yeah.
And you know how good our 5-on-5 is. It was really the special teams that killed Michel. Sorry, not Michel Terrier, Claude
Claude Julien.
Julien,
Yeah.
and Kirk Muller. And this is the second time Claude Julien gets fired by the Canadians, and
Yeah.
I'm not willing to bet on a third time. But
No. It's
yeah,
just because this year was probably be a first round exit again if Claude Julien was still on the team.
well, we don't know
Realistically,
that.
well, we don't
Realistically,
know,
we don't.
but I feel like that's what Bergevin thought was gonna happen. Like he didn't like the inconsistency of the team that
Yeah,
was happening
I
right
think he
now.
was just worried that if he didn't act now,
Yeah,
there could have been some big
yeah,
consequences. He
exactly.
said that we had 2 8-game losing streaks last year. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to. I had to act before anything bad
Mm-hmm.
like that happened again, especially in a condensed season of 56 games. That's something you need. You need to. That's the GM's job. You got to make those decisions, and
Wait,
it's tough to see those
I
two.
want to take a turn. Do you think Bergevin has been on the team for almost a decade now, like a long
Yeah,
time?
this is like
When
his 9-year plan.
Yeah. How long, like, if Ducharme doesn't work, do you think, like, how long does Bergevin have to make a NHL contender out of these teams? Because he's made some really good trades, really good signings. Like, he's been a really good
You mean
GM,
is
but
he on the hot seat? Is what
no,
you're asking?
no. Right now he's on the hot seat, but you think he'll ever be on the hot seat, like for real,
Oh yeah, Bergevin has
like
always
soon?
been on the hot seat in his what was his decade tenure here in
Yeah.
Montreal. Um, but this like people have been saying, this is the best team he's put together since
Exactly.
since
Yeah.
he's arrived, and so to see it not not perform,
Mm-hmm.
you got to kind of agree with him on the move he makes.
Yeah.
Um, and will is he on the hot seat? Well, they had a good start. They're still 9-5-3 or
All
some
his
sort like
trades are
that,
looking really good. All the
looking
trades he's
really
done.
good. But at the end of the day, it's a what have you done for me lately kind of business, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because
So it's going to be
9 years,
interesting.
9 years is a lot to be a GM,
Yeah,
and and usually those GMs they have like something to back it up. They have like
if Dominic Ducharme for some reason doesn't work doesn't work in Montreal, then I feel like the Canadians really have to change their ideology about coaching in
yeah,
Montreal.
mm-hmm,
As we know, they like to hire a French coach
mm-hmm,
who speaks French. As we saw with Alain Vigneault, Michel
mm-hmm,
Terrier, they had Gerard Gallant as their
mm-hmm,
assistant coach. If it doesn't work, I really think that the Montreal Canadiens have to change their ideology, go out, maybe get an English speaking coach that really knows what he's
mm-hmm.
doing, because
Okay.
we're the only team in the NHL that has this idea of, oh, we have to have a French coach. We need
Yeah,
to have a French coach, or
and a
else fans
restrained.
fans will
Yeah,
not be happy. So right away you're already eliminating a lot of really good coaches in the
yeah,
NHL and a lot of good candidates that could take place and that could really do some good for your team. But we will give Dominic Ducharme some time.
yeah, for sure.
We have to trust him. We have to believe that he can turn this team around, and so that should be interesting to see for the rest of the season because this is his job to lose, like I said
For
before,
sure.
and Bergeron said. But let's look at another addition to the coaching staff that may be overlooked: Alex
Hey, let's
Burrows,
go.
former NHL player
Yeah.
who retired in 2018. Right after he retired, joined the Laval Rocket
Mm-hmm.
as an assistant coach. Has now been given the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to coach in the NHL level as an
Yeah.
assistant coach behind Dominic Ducharme. That should be interesting.
Mm-hmm. He's young too. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think
he's
he's in
what
his fourth.
30
Yeah.
39,
Yeah.
39 or something
Something like
like
that.
that. Young coach. I really like this move. We talk about identity. We talk about, players playing for their coaches,
Yeah.
playing that message out that the coaches give them. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Alex Burrows is a really type of, player coach
Yeah,
type.
for sure. Yeah,
Some
for
guy
sure.
that could talk to his players on
Mm-hmm.
another level that some NHL coaches just can't get
Yeah,
to with
because he
their
has that
players.
experience. Yeah.
He has that experience as a player. He knows what these guys are going through. He's been in losing streaks. He could
Mm-hmm.
really get on that same mentality with them, which is something really I think is good for the Canadians right now. A guy that could talk to them, understand what they're going through, and try and help out them the best he can.
and Burrows was doing a good job in Laval. He wasn't gifted. Like he was
Yeah.
actually doing a good job in Laval, so that's why he got
So
promoted.
yeah, I don't know how he is as a coach,
Yeah.
or anything like that. The only time will tell. I bet there's only good things you hear about
Mm-hmm.
him down
Mm-hmm.
in Laval. So that should be interesting. That duo of Dominic Ducharme and Alex
Mm-hmm.
Burrows.
He could probably help on the penalty kill. He was a really good penalty killer back in
Yeah, yeah,
his
for the
day.
Vancouver
So
Canucks.
for sure.
So only time will tell.
Yeah,
The
for
reign
sure.
of the coaching staff for the Montreal Canadiens is now shifted into the
Damn,
hands of
again.
Dominic
Can't believe it
Ducharme.
was 5 years.
Five years, Claude
Yo, that was five
Julien
years ago.
and
What?
Kirk Muller. Sad to see them go. I wish nothing but the best for those
Same,
two.
yeah.
I mean, those guys are studs in the coaching
Mm-hmm.
world. I'm sure they'll get a job somewhere else.
Yeah.
Not a Babcock situation, but they
Yeah.
will be in the NHL still.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just interesting to see where they end up,
Mm-hmm.
and interesting to see where this team is headed now with
For
Dominic
sure.
Ducharme is ahead.
Yeah.
So, like I've said, something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And something to look forward to is that Winnipeg game coming up to see what he does. If he
Mm-hmm.
keeps the lines the same, if he thought he has a better idea, we'll see. But I always love when there's a coaching change because it's either going to be really
Yeah.
good thing for the team, or it could be a bad thing for the team. But
But
usually,
it's like a new start. It's like a new school
yes,
year, new
a
get
new
like
start is good for the
yeah,
team. So that should be fun to see the Canadians. Hopefully, they can get back to the same Canadians they were at the beginning of the
for
season,
sure.
because that's the team we are. That is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We are
Mm-hmm.
not the team we are right now.
Gotta
This
set
is
the
not
bar high
us.
for sure.
We got to get back to who we were before when the
Mm-hmm.
season started. That is the team I want to see. That is the team I want to see going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's all the time we got.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we said, got to look forward to the next game.
Yeah.
So, nevertheless, thank you again for listening to
Thank
the
you.
Chtib Zhang show. I know there hasn't been a lot of videos coming out. It's just because we've been super busy. Eric's been
Mm-hmm.
busy with midterms. I've been busy applying for school.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll hopefully get back into that. More Habs talk in the
Yeah.
near future. But again, thanks for listening. We'll see
Thank
you
you.
guys next time. See ya.
Peace.